Hello, whiskey folk. It's 10:15 on Thursday night. Just a wee minute late tonight. Sorry about that. Welcome, everybody. Fantastic to see everybody starting to join in already. I can see there's been quite a few of you waiting and chatting already. And thank you especially so much if you're taking the time to watch this on the replay, as so many of you do. Tonight is a kind of exciting night for me. This may not run for the usual 2 hours. I might try and keep this super short tonight because I have to go and pack for a trip tomorrow, a whiskey trip that I'm really quite excited about, and I'll share with you what that is a wee bit later. Yeah, I just wanted to try and bring everybody together tonight and talk a wee bit about what is for so many of us our favourite little island. Even if we've not been there, so many of us across the world adore a little tiny island off the west coast of Scotland that's got less than 3,000 people of a population, but it has it's actually got 9 distilleries now, soon to be perhaps 10 and maybe even 11 distilleries on this tiny little island, and that is, of course, Islay. And right now on Islay, if you've been anywhere close to social media, you'll be experiencing all the photos, tweets, sharing that's happening from the island right now, because right now the Islay Festival of Music and Malt is happening this week, otherwise called Fèis Ìle. This is an annual event. It's a fantastic event. Islay becomes saturated with whiskey fans for a week, and each of the distilleries has an open day. They each take a turn of having an open day. It also involves Dura, which is an island just north of Islay as well, and they all open up and have festivities and different events and things like that. And of course, they have Fèis Ìle festival release bottlings as well, which can be crazy. Queuing overnight, people buying for enjoyment and collecting, and people buying for perhaps profit. Can you imagine such a thing? Anyway, that's what I wanted to do tonight. So the theme tonight was to kind of get together, talk about Islay, talk about our favourite Isleys, because they're not all peat monsters, right? And especially if we've been there, where we've been and how it was for us. And if we haven't been there, how and when would we like to go? My whiskey trip tomorrow, the reason I'm so excited is it's my 3rd trip to Islay tomorrow. I've been to Fèis Ìle before, and I've been once when it wasn't during the festival time. And there was quite a contrast in terms of people there and activity and things like that. But the magic of Islay, the magic of that little island was still very much there. And what I found, for me personally, I travelled there for the whiskey, I travelled there for the distilleries and that on both occasions. On both occasions, I came away really quite impressed and profoundly moved even by the effect of the environment, by the island itself, by the people there. It is just such a magical, magical place. And if any of you are watching me just now from Islay, although I doubt it very much, there's far too many parties going on out there, chime in and let me know. One more thing just before I jump in and do a roll call as well. There's a lot of people watching that don't participate in the chat, and that is absolutely fine. It's fantastic even. I understand. I used to be like that with live streams as well. I would just sit back and happily watch. But sometimes it's maybe because the chat is moving fast and it's a bit intimidating and things, and it does take a bit of getting used to. If you are sitting watching and you feel like you might want to chat, just chime in. Just tell us who you are, where you are, what you're sipping, and let us know that it's your first time, and we'll do our very best to welcome you in. Fantastic. The drama I have in front of me just now is actually, I'm going to give it a little top up because I absolutely love it. It's one of my favourite Islay malts. And it's from what's essentially, in terms of Islay production scale, it's from their factory, their biggest producer, Caol. Over the years, I've had lots of Caol. There's lots of Caol available as independent bottlings and things like that. And where a lot of Islay distilleries can put out the occasional dud, the occasional slip, banana skin on quality, I've never, ever been disappointed by anything from Caol. And I was quite struck watching the Scotch Test Dummies 4th bracket. Caol 12 made it into that bracket. And you should see the whiskies that it's mixing it with in there. And again, I mean, I don't want to make any spoilers for you, but just watch that fourth bracket and see how well this little 12-year-old dram does. It's still one of the best value Islay whiskies out there. It's ever so clean and classy and sweet and smoky, and it's one of my favourites. So there you go. That's what I'm sipping just now. Let's have a quick look to see who's in, because we have a bunch of you already joining us. 66 in already, and we're only a few minutes in. Fantastic. Let's see who's chatting just now. We've got Kevin. Welcome in, Kevin. Malt Review is in. Jason, fantastic to see you in. Superb. Sean Nemo, my friend, still not shipped out your Highland Park yet. It's on the to-do list. There's a reason I'm holding off. I think it's going to be next week before it goes out though, Sean. So thank you for your patience, and everybody else that's got samples and prizes coming from me as well. None have been shipped out yet. I apologise. Hoagie Bear is in. Fantastic. Dwayne is in. Good to see you, Dwayne. Chris Beaton. Chris, fantastic to see you back, as well as Everwind, Macallan Fine and Rare, The Doc, Gillian B. Superb, Gillian. Obviously, you've got a prize coming to you as well. Rombout, my friend, you've got some samples coming to you as well. Danny is in. So is Dan. My God, there's a lot of you guys I owe product to. I've actually got a box of, I've got so much whiskey and little sample bottles down there. Whiskey Babbler, good to see you in. Velkommen. Good to see you, my friend. Ben Marnick. Ben, good to see you back again. Eric Waite. Eric, good to see you. I hope that you're getting excited for your trip to Scotland in a couple of weeks' time. I hope you're as excited as I am about my trip to Islay tomorrow. How's the audio, by the way? Is the audio fine? Jez is in. Nigel Slynn is in. Fantastic, Nigel. Now, I noticed, Nigel, that you did very, very well on the World Whisky Day quiz. You and a couple of other participants almost were in the running for a prize there, but you were pipped by Sean Nemo. AJ is in. AJ, fantastic. He's saying, I was on Islay a few weeks ago. Wonderful experience. Fantastic, AJ. Tell us more about it. What, did you go there for whiskey, or was it a holiday? William Brooks. So let me tell you, there's been a William Brooks watching me for a long time now. He's occasionally participating in the chats. You might recognise his name, William Brooks. He's even donated the occasional super chat to me. And I only just discovered last week that William Brooks is my friend Bill. I don't know if it was William Brooks. This is a pseudonym. But he's my friend Bill, my friend of 26, 27 years now. And he's flying over from California right now to join me on Islay tomorrow. And he's in the chat tonight. Fantastic, Bill. I'm looking forward to giving you a big handshake and hug at the airport tomorrow. Can't wait till you're here. The Whiskey Rev, superb. You made it. Thanks very much, Rev. It's good to see you in again. So that's it tonight, that we've got my two friends moderating tonight. Jason Whiskey Wise, who's an awesome host, great at looking after the chat, and the Whiskey Rev is in here as well. So if you are trying to get my attention and I miss it, please leverage those guys. Andy is in. Andy Ardbaggy. Now, Andy, you are on Islay. I believe you're still on Islay right now, and I'm hoping to hook up with you at Ardbeg Open Day on Saturday. Everwind, Christopher Malloy, superb. Scott Kilted Moose, good to see you in as well. Tom R, of course, you've been in since nice early. Connor is in as well, fantastic. Are you still in the Caribbean, Connor, or are you home yet? Razvan is in, superb. My friend Craig Dollier, fantastic. Lots and lots of you coming in. Now, I do have guests tonight. I have two guests tonight. And I've been trying to get these two guests together for a little while now, because they're specifically joining, you know, to have a kind of little chat and maybe talk about Islay whiskies and what it means to them a bit later on. But we're going to put these two guys together in a bit of a head-to-head, and it's actually a rematch. So anybody, cheers to everybody, Slancheva, and welcome in. Fantastic to see everybody here tonight. Love it. Summer is usually a time that I fade away from Islay whiskies, that I take a step back from it and I start to enjoy lighter whiskies and things, as you do. And at a recent barbecue recently, I was handing out my whiskies poured in a rocks glass over ice. And it's a fantastic, fantastic drink, especially in the sunshine. And peated whiskies seem to fit with me a wee bit more in wintertime. But right now, it's super balmy. The air is really sticky and warm. Well, for Scotland anyway, outside. It's really quite warm in the house. And this little Caol Ila is going down rather nice. So this is me just getting in the mood for tomorrow. So let's just grab a couple of you. Everyone is saying, and the chat jumped again. I apologize for that. What happens is if I scroll up to see who's here and then somebody makes a comment, it pops down very, very quickly. Daniel, fantastic to see you as well. He's saying, glad to see you, Roy. Good to see you. Daniel in Canada. Let's see if I can find Travis is in as well. Fantastic, Travis. Thanks for joining. Connor is saying he's home in a couple of days. Looking forward to seeing what sample I got sent. Well, like I say, Connor, it hasn't left yet. You might have to wait until next week before I get that sent out. But don't worry, I'm sure it'll be worth your wait. And Jason is saying audio is okay, superb. Sean, thanks for your patience. And thanks for saying that it's okay for me to take my time. Andrew is saying good morning. So Andrew is obviously, he was in on the World Whisky Day stream. He's daydreaming down in Australia as well. So it's very early in the morning for him. Fantastic, Andrew. I don't know if you've got a dram in hand, but I guess if it's morning for you, it's, well, it'll be Friday morning, isn't it? So yeah, it's a work day for you. Hi, Roy, my dear brother and Malt and fabulous host. Hoagie, lovely to see you as well. I know that you've been a busy guy on vacation recently and missed a couple of streams, but it's fantastic to see you back in, Hoagie. And everyone is asking, is the new Port Ellen doing anything for the festival? Well, of course, Georgie Crawford has just moved over from managing Lagavulin to taking on the realisation of the new Port Ellen. That's going to be her new role. So, but I don't think they're doing anything for Fèis Ìle. I think that would be, they're not producing anything. I mean, there might be a nod to it because this is the first Fèis since the announcement was made last October. So there might be something on the agenda, but I haven't spotted anything yet. Yeah, but it's going to be nice to take a wee walk round to Port Ellen when we're down there. And just see if there's any activity started happening. Is there any construction started happening and things like that? Maybe Andy, our baggy, he's in the chat just now. Andy, if you know, you can tell us if there's anything already started happening at Port Ellen. So wonderful to see everybody in. Really busy little chat going on, 84 already watching. I'm actually expecting tonight to be a bit quieter and remain a wee bit quieter, just because of kind of summertime. It's late here in the UK, certainly. And obviously there's a festival going on in Islay, which might keep a lot of whiskey folks otherwise occupied. Everyone is saying Aqvavitae, what made Port Ellen so special? Well, that's interesting. And I've got a wee Port Ellen that I'm hoping I'll get to tonight. I've got I don't own a bottle of Port Ellen. It's super, super expensive now. But this is absolutely gorgeous stuff, this little bottle here. And I'm going to have this a wee dram of this later, and then what's left I'm going to take to Islay with me so that my friend Bill and I can maybe take this wee tiny dram of Port Ellen down and stand at Port Ellen and enjoy it. Andrew has just said 6:27 a.m. Roy with a 10 Australian dollar super chat. Thank you very much. No dram for about 12 hours. Okay, sorry buddy. So I will send a virtual dram. So jealous of everyone's Islay discussions and posts. I will try to do everything I can, Andrew, to stay in touch with you over Instagram and let you see some shared images and things like that on Instagram so that you can see, at least you can try to live a wee bit of it vicariously. But thank you so much for the dram, my friend. Thank you. That will be well spent on Islay in these coming days, believe me. So what made Port Ellen special? I think probably the thing that got it closed. Port Ellen probably was one of the distilleries that when DCL at the time were coming round to deciding what, during the Great Whisky Lake disaster of the early 80s when whiskey was falling out of fashion and the stocks were far too high everywhere, they kind of made the decision that the distilleries that should be closed down were the ones that would, you know, the ones that probably had the least in terms of recent investment. So they were probably the most antiquated in terms of equipment and process and things like that. So Port Ellen probably fit that profile quite nicely. Now, of course, as we know, what happens is that if you have a very manual process when you're making whiskey, you tend to get much more characterful whiskey. you know, it's a kind of broad brush thing to say, and it's quite a romantic thing to say, and I'm not sure that it's always accurate, but certainly that's the theory. And certainly I think it was true in this case of Port Ellen, because any Port Ellens that I've tasted have been magical, but of course they will be, because the majority of them are either very old in terms of legal maturation, or they've been in a bottle for a long time, so they've really settled and rounded out, and that maybe that old bottle effect has been happening. So yeah, Port Ellen was a very well-crafted whiskey, and it seems like it was also an Islay whiskey. It was very, very powerful when young, but it was also an Islay whiskey that aged and matured very well as well. And there's a lot of very, very sad Port Ellen fans that used to be quite happy sipping Port Ellen and from bars, or they would be buying bottles very, very cheaply back in the day. And now it's out of the reach of most people. Welsh is saying he got his first dram and frying pan on the go. He's cooking again. Welsh always joins me during Spanish time. Fantastic, Welsh. What are you cooking tonight? Superb. And as usual, if you're trying to catch my attention in the chat, just put an @ symbol at the front, Aqvavitae. While this is all about Islay tonight, Whiskey in the Six, Rob is in, fantastic. Gregor is in, superb. Gregor, good to see you. Paul Gibbs, my friend, good to see you, Paul. Superb. While we're talking about Islay tonight, some of you may have spotted a video that I put out earlier this week, and it was a video that was kind of me doing almost a kind of talking head podcast style video, just to kind of report back about my visit to Macallan. The Whiskey Rev is in tonight, and thanks to him, I got access to go in and have a look at Macallan well in advance of it being open to the public. And it wasn't completely fully finished yet, but it was very, very close. It was basically just tidying up and final touches and things that they were doing. But when I got to see that distillery, when I got to see inside, it's only in the days after the visit that you actually really process what you've witnessed, the significance of it. And I remember people from Macallan coming up to us at the time and asking for feedback, asking what we thought. And I hope I was gracious enough to be honest and say what I have seen is absolutely spectacular. I know that I commented about it being a very, very confident statement in the future and things like that. But that facility, regardless what your feelings are about Macallan as a malt whiskey, about as a brand, about their positioning, whatever it is, the cost probably is your biggest bugbear with Macallan. Certainly, I doubt very many people argue about the quality of it. Maybe they're a wee bit annoyed that it can be quite low in ABV, and that's about it. But when you see that facility, it would take a stone-cold cynic not to be impressed by the achievement of it. Now, lots of people out there really love the small distilleries. They really love kind of the hands-on approach at Springbank and places like that. Things that other distilleries such as Bunromac and Kilchoman and these kind of distilleries are trying to do to an extent as well. So it's not that type of distillery. It's not anything close to that type of distillery, of course. But it is absolutely fabulous to behold. And if you're going to kind of have an idea of the Scotch whisky landscape and distilling in Scotland, and you want to get an idea of the size, the shape, the style, and the contrasts in that landscape, you need to visit Macallan. It needs to be a distillery that you see. Just for the engineering marvel, the scale and the scope and the ambition of it, it is really, really quite stunning. Okay, the Rev is saying he doesn't have the link. You're absolutely right. I had some technical problems with my guests tonight trying to get them to join, so that's why I ended up running a wee bit late. But what I'll do, Rev, is I'll send this out to you just now. And if I miss comments, you can send them in to me for reminding me. Okay, Hoagie is saying, Aqvavitae, would love to get myself a bottle of the new 2018 Fèis Ìle Lagavulin 18. So would I. I mean, there was 3,000 bottles of that this year, and it's gone. But secondary market prices are already through the roof, perhaps on eBay with some luck. Yeah. Well, worst case, we'll see. We'll try and find somebody over there who's popped a bottle for sharing, and see if we can get a little sample, Hoagie. But I know you would like you'd like one for the collection. And it sounded a very nice one this year as well, that 18 bourbon and sherry cask, I think, going from memory. But yeah, 3,000 bottles gone. It's just the way that it is. And when I go to Islay, again, it'll be the same for me this trip, and it was the same in 2010. None of us got involved in queuing for bottles. We were there just to enjoy the event, and anything that came our way came our way. We were there for the area. Whiskey Bloke is in. Max, good to see you in. Very welcome. I think this is your first time in here. He's asking me what I'm drinking. I mentioned at the top of the stream that I'm drinking one of my favourite attainable, classy, clean Isleys, and that is Caol Ila 12. I love it. Whiskey Untitled, Charles, fantastic to see you in, my friend. I know for me, Scotch and Smith will make Macallan a must-stop for next year. Yeah, I think if you're going to Speyside and you're going to take in a couple of distilleries, and even if you've been to the old Macallan before, I think it is, and I think they do quite a fast 90-minute tour where you can have a tasting tour that lasts, quick tour and a tasting that lasts 90 minutes. So it doesn't take you a long time. You don't need to kind of be there and dedicate a day to it or anything. But it's an absolute spectacle to see. And if you've got any questions about it, by the way, the Rev is in here tonight. Just send any questions direct to the Whiskey Rev. For example, booking tours right now seems to be impossible. They still haven't released any tours on the website yet, and that's coming soon. We don't know when that is, but we believe, and the Rev can confirm this, that Macallan will officially open to the public on the 2nd of June. He was telling me recently that they turned away up to 170 cars last weekend who were turning up early and trying to get access. Absolutely crazy. Mm. And then Rombout is asking me, are you going to plant a flag next to mine? Yeah, I will do, Rombout. And I've never actually been back to see the square foot of Lefroy or anything. I've never done any of that either. Hoagie's asking, according to Whiskey Base, there were 6,000 bottles of Lagavulin. You might be right, Hoagie. You might be right. But nonetheless, all gone by now, I suppose. Good thing I trade some bottles of mine and for 2 more Laga 19 Fèis Ìle 2014. Yeah, you have a significant Lagavulin collection. I know that for sure. Richie is in. V-Rich, good to see you, Richie. Hello, Roy. Can you explain teaspooning? Yeah, I can do. So teaspooning is a practice that is or either isn't employed. And because Scotch is a very symbiotic landscape, right? There's lots of cask trading goes on. That's why the fill strength tends to be 63.5%, because it doesn't matter what size you are and how many distilleries you have. In order to maintain consistency in blends, which regardless what anybody says, blends still drive the Scotch whisky market. Blends are still king, and they will be for a long time to come. In order to remain consistent, you still need to trade casks. So that trading of casks, that movement of product up and down the country, allows for a lot of brokering going on, a lot of trading of casks, and that obviously allows the existence and proliferation of independent bottling and casks and stocks available for independent bottlers, which is kind of cool. But what's happening with independent bottling is that sometimes a brand would be nervous that if they're, maybe not Caol Ila, Caol Ila, you often find independent bottlings of Caol Ila, and Caol Ila is clearly stated on the independent bottle label. But a lot of brands are very, very protective of the brand that they've spent decades and 100 years or more, perhaps, building up a reputation for. And they're a wee bit nervous with these, they can't really control the consistency, of course, of a single cask. And while it is clearly from that distillery, they don't want it sold under that distillery's brand name because they don't feel it's representative of the brand. So what they try to do is sell it under the agreement that it will never be sold as a single malt that can compete with its own branded product, more or less. But sometimes that happens anyway. Despite that agreement being in place, sometimes it gets out there, or sometimes there's clever little coding happens on the bottle, or little clues. They'll simply tell you things like, the furthest distillery along Pier Road and things like that. So you know it's Ardbeg. They maybe call the water source or a nearby farm, or there'll be some kind of code on there that tells you where the whiskey is from. So in order to further complicate that, what the practice of teaspooning can sometimes frustratingly be employed, where they will sell a cask, but they will literally take 1 teaspoon or a very, very small amount of another malt whiskey, another single malt, and add it to that cask. And it immediately renders it a blended malt. So it can't be sold as a single malt and therefore can never compete with that distillery's own product. That, in a nutshell, Richie, is what teaspooning is. Now, there is a lot of supposedly teaspoon casks out there. I don't know any of this for sure, by the way. Please don't quote me. But as I understand it, that we're told that it's teaspooned, or during trading, where it's sold, it's traded as a teaspooned cask, when in actual fact it perhaps hasn't been teaspooned at all. But it's a way for them to prevent whiskies being sold under their brand. Simon Ray is saying, thought the Macallan review of the new distillery was fascinating. It was my go-to whiskey, but really getting into broadening my horizons. Thanks to you and your peers. Thank you very much, Simon. And I think that's the first time I've seen your name in here. You're very welcome. Thank you. I would say that Macallan, back when I was first getting into whiskey, this was back when you could still buy, I even think I could still buy the 10-year-old, but I'm not 100% sure. Certainly it used to be probably the 12. And it was one of the more expensive 12-year-olds back then. Sure, but not by much, just by a little bit. But it was just so good. It was just so nice. And what it was awesome for is that people that were a wee bit sheepish about whiskey and they needed something approachable and just something to enjoy, Macallan was always a good one to give them, because it was rich and soft and smooth and engaging. And I used to, I vividly remember Macallan being the whiskey that I would recommend people go out and buy. When I used to get asked what whiskey should I buy for X, I would say pick up a Macallan 12. Now, often that would sometimes be the Macallan Fine Oak, which I never ever believed was as engaging as the Sherry Oak. But I'm talking back in the day that you could literally buy Macallan Sherry Oak in every supermarket in the UK. Thanks, Simon. Thanks for watching the video as well. The Alchemist. Hello there, Alchemist. I think that's another new name. Fantastic. We've got 96 watching just now, so it's a lot busier than I expected. Welcome everybody in tonight. He's saying, what are you drinking, folks? Just on the last dram of my regular drams, a Tomatin 12. Very good. Looking for a new adventure to go to whiskey. Any recommendations? Aqvavitae. If you're enjoying Tomatin 12, I would suggest that you, Tomatin's a fantastic whiskey. It's a nice one to be enjoying. And if you're kind of trying to go along the same theme as that, I would maybe consider, well, I wonder if you've tried any Glendronachs. There's a 12-year-old Glendronach that's out there that's not too bad, still easy to get a hold of for now. What else do we have? Of course, Deanston. Everybody knows how much I rave about Deanston. I think it's a fantastic product, readily available and still very good value just now, 46.3% as well. Unchill filtered, says it all on the label too. So there you go. In the realms of 12-year-old, I would recommend those, just off the top of my head. But the guys in the chat will have loads more, no doubt. Gregory is saying, well done on the Whiskey World Day organisation also, by the way. Thank you very much. Cement yourself as unofficial godfather of the whiskey. I wouldn't say that at all, Gregor, but I'll thank you very much for your kind words. And my friends, who no doubt are live tonight. In fact, I absolutely know that they're live tonight because they have the Jura brand ambassador joining them tonight. So about 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning, our time, Scotch for Dummies go live. I usually catch them on a Friday morning, and they've got a Jura brand ambassador on, and they'll no doubt be talking about the massive new revamp that Jura has just had across the range. I've still to try any of those new Juras, by the way. Oh no, wait, I tried the 7-wood. But yeah, they've just completely revamped their entire range. Thank you very much, my friend Scotch for Dummies. Thank you for that dram. And he's saying, for our Scotch brother from another mother, cheers, Roy. I'm going to guess that's Mark tonight. Thank you very much. Whiskey Babbler, can you recommend, okay, you've not finished that question. Can you recommend a special independent bottler for Islay whiskies? Not any particular independent, actually, no. And I mean, you know what it's like. I mean, you know that independent bottles, well, in a lot of cases, in the majority of cases, there'll be single casks. So, you know, the experiences you have with independents will be up and down. Some will be absolutely spectacular and others less so. What of good experiences I've had, Creative Whiskey Company has come out with a couple recently. Signatory always have a decent range. Other ones I would recommend, maybe a Gordon MacPhail. I've usually got a couple out there. Certainly Gordon MacPhail usually have a few Stonking Kalilas, actually. But no, I wouldn't specifically recommend any any specific independent bottler, babbler. I wouldn't. Malted Man Cave is talking to the Whiskey Woman. Is the Whiskey Woman? And yes, they are. So who would that be tonight? Would that be the Whiskey Woman, or would that be Katrina? I'm only kidding. Is it Roddy or Katrina? Who's in tonight? I'm going to guess it's my friend Roddy. Good to see you. And Sean Maguire, that's a new name as well. Back on the Aberfeld 18 tonight. Not sure where next though. Possibly Glenfiddich 15. Superb. Tash is in. Superb, Tash. Good to see you. Do you have any information on Macallan edition number 4? None at all. But direct your question to the Whiskey Rev, because if there is any insider information that he's allowed to share, he'll be able to tell you about it. So Rev Tash Don 7 is asking about Macallan edition 4, which I think is due out this year, isn't it? Craig Dolery's talking about 5 in total, including me. I think you're talking about an upcoming trip, Craig, perhaps, yeah? Okay, superb. So have we got, is anyone pouring Islay? Is anyone sitting there enjoying Islay's right now? Or what are we drinking? I think what I'm going to do is reach out to my guests in a moment and find out what those guys are drinking. Just want to check to see if I've missed any comments. Okay, Hoagie has put in a nice comment. Thanks for that, Rev. The Rev has just sent a message across to say that Hoagie said Aqvavitae, an acquainted bottler, says teaspooning is a myth in reality, practice and just claimed by the distillery. That's kind of what I touched on there, right? In that case, Balvenie Glenfiddich. So the product can't be sold as a single malt. That's right. But I mean, the thing is that whether they've actually teaspooned that cask or not, when they trade that cask and the paperwork that goes with that cask, as soon as it's declared a blended malt, that it's been teaspooned, that it's had another malt added, it can never be undone. And you're absolutely right, Hoagie. You know, the fact is that it's forever going to be a blended malt. So when we see blended malts, especially when they're sold through independent bottlers, and it just comes with the word Orkney written on it, and it just comes with the word Islay written on it, or it just comes with Speyside or whatever it may be, don't discount it. That's absolutely crucial that you do not discount those. Yes, it would be nice if you can get some intel and discover what the whiskey actually is, of course. But I'll bet, in my experience, I've got a Speyside downstairs that's a Kinninvie, and every Kinninvie that you've ever tried to get in your life is really difficult to get a hold of. Yet that's a Kinninvie. I've got another one downstairs that the majority of the whiskey in it is Macallan. And there's a few downstairs. And in fact, I've got one that I'm going to sip tonight that was courtesy of Scotch for Dummies, who's just sent me a virtual dram. And this is a Creative Whiskey Company exclusive malt 2007, and it's just called Islay. And this whiskey lit their world up. They absolutely loved it. In fact, I'm going to pour it now. I've not got an ABV on this, but knowing Creative Whiskey Company, it's probably been bottled at cask strength. I don't need to clean this glass or use a fresh glass. It's Lagavulin goes straight on the top of Kalila. That should be fine. So yeah, this is a perfect example of that very thing. Superb. It's just all about brand protection. Anyway, good. Is there anything else? I usually make a wee note, but I was rushing tonight, so I don't know what I've really said. Oh yeah, there is something I wanted to bring up, because there's a few people that will say to me afterwards, say, "Oh, I had such a delay on the quiz tonight. I really loved the quiz, but I couldn't participate on it. My questions were really out of sync." And the only thing I can say about that is that what I find when that happens is, maybe for whatever reason, through over buffering, maybe you've accidentally paused, or you've paused the video for a second. The chat will not pause. The chat will continue. So that when you're watching the video, the chat is well ahead and you think you've got a delay. If you feel like you've got a delay, or as we approach the quiz, just refresh the session, refresh your browser that you're watching it through, and that'll bring you up to date and make sure you're watching the video at the last point. I think that's what happens a lot of times. Somebody hits pause and then they come back and unpause it, and they forget that they've paused the video, and they're obviously watching it with a significant delay. But of course, sometimes lag and delay is just an inevitable part of this setup, and it is a wee bit frustrating. It works for 98, 99 out of 100. It works okay. Andy is off. He's saying bye, see you all later. Fantastic, Andy. I'm super excited to hook up with you at Ardbeg. I hope you're still up for that. Simon is saying, Brook Laddie, the classic Laddie, Slantia. Fantastic. At least you're sipping an Islay, Simon. Superb. And Rombout is sipping Lagavulin. Or he's giving away that this 2007 Creative Whisky Company is, in fact, which it is, it's a Lagavulin. Laura is in. Good to see you, Laura. Fantastic. Chris Banks is in. Superb. Dram Dude is in. Superb. Laura is saying, just back from vacation, I had the opportunity to try an Oban 14. Loved it. Very good. Pulling out a Bowmore small batch bourbon cask. A bit smoky when first opened, but mellows out nicely with rest. Good, Laura. So you're sipping an Islay as well. Superb. So let's... Connor's not drinking tonight. Ooh. It's nice to have some time off, though. I've been taking significant chunks of time off recently, and I think I'm really feeling the benefit of it. Not so much physically feeling the benefit of it, but from a palate perspective. And Jason is asking us, have you heard about the new Johnnie Walker Blue, which features more Port Ellen in the blend? No, I have not. Is that the Ghosts one? I thought it was Brora that was supposed to be in that one. And Robert was saying you were talking about lag in the video. Lagavulin. Ah, Lagavulin. I missed the joke. I missed the pun, Rombout. I apologise. Okay, let's spend a little bit of time in the interest of keeping things moving fast tonight, and I hope that I can actually finish reasonably early and finish packing for tomorrow. I haven't had anybody talking about their Islay experiences, have I? Or if I have, they've not made it across to me, or I didn't spot them. I apologise. But what I do, I'll be very, very honest with you, I enjoy going back and watching the live streams now that we've got this top chat and real chat replay, that I can go through. I just mute I just mute me, and I enjoy watching the chat back again. And I get to pick up a lot of the kind of banter that's going backwards and forwards between you guys. And that's been good fun. The first was more Brora, Jason is saying, and the second release, which should be out in a couple of months, is with more Port Ellen. No doubt it'll be another Johnnie Walker Blue that I don't buy, but I'd be curious to hear how they're putting it together. I think the people that are buying and enjoying Johnnie Walker Blue, I think Port Ellen and Brora is it snobby to say it's wasted? I don't think it is. I think for a huge chunk of folk that's buying that blue, they perhaps may not even appreciate what Port Ellen and Brora actually is. And Robert is saying he has about 16 blogs on his 2016 trip, including what not to do on Islay. So there you go, Rombout. That's fantastic. I might use that as some airport reading. Superb. Superb. I'm going to take my camera with me to Islay this time as well, and I'll do my very best to try and record some footage that I can cobble into some kind of video to share with you afterwards. Okay, superb. Let's reach out to now the first guy I'm going to reach out to, you'll recognize. You've seen him before. He's got a YouTube channel, and he's certainly been on my channel before. So let's welcome in just click show and broadcast if he unmutes himself. Let's welcome in my friend
Keith from the Malted Man Cave.
How are you, big guy? Superb to see you again.
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you've always got a smile.
I'm jealous of you going to the Fèis Ìle. I'm so jealous that you get to go to Islay, man. I'm so jealous.
Yeah, I feel it for you. I feel it for you. And I just know how much you would love it. I just know you would be like a kid in a candy shop. I really do. Dwayne is asking me to do some Fèis Ìle coverage. Do you know, see if I can get a Wi-Fi signal as well for Keith here, who's jealous and wants some vicarious Islay living. Dwayne has just returned back. He was at Islay just a couple of months ago. I will do my best, even if I can do just a quick live stream or something on a mobile phone. But obviously, not to gloat, not to rub anyone's faces in it, just to kind of share whatever's going on if there's something interesting happening. So how are you, Keith? Are you doing well? I think you probably had to get away from work early to join me tonight, did you?
Yeah, I'm a mental health therapist, as you know. It's really weird because I was in the military going from shooting people to counseling people. But yeah, I had to cancel my last couple of therapy sessions, which I was more than happy to do. And actually, my wife said she was going to be gone, and I hear a little pitter-patter upstairs. So I'm like, what's going on up there?
Well, as long as it is your wife and not someone trying to burgle and steal the whiskey.
Oh, no, it's definitely my daughter. I hear a little light footsteps, so hopefully she doesn't interrupt the stream.
Well, I don't want to mention why you're back on joining me. I mean, I would have you every week. I think you're a fantastic guy. I love hanging out with you anyway. And the problem for you and I is that when we start talking on calls like this, the calls never last for 5 or 10 minutes, do they?
No. My wife loves it when I talk to you on here for 3 hours, Roy.
Oh yeah, mine too. Mine, she's very, very happy. That's right. So, but the reason that you're back on tonight is for a slightly different thing, and I think
vindication.
Some education.
Vindication.
I think it'll become obvious in a moment when I get in the next guest. The next guest does actually also have a YouTube channel, but it's one that he's kind of decided to leave rest for a bit until he can work out what he's going to do with it. He's more known on Instagram and as a blogger. And I would like to bring him in now because he is also a member of Keith, Malted and Man Cave's family. And that is my friend.
Hey, Roy.
Jonathan. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Very well. Now, people in the chat.
He didn't get my good looks. He didn't get the good looks.
I love the cap as well, Jonathan. But people in the chat, they won't know you as Jonathan. They know you as
Meade Mule, which is MEADEMULE. I see that Whiskey Throttle just tagged me there. So
you've been spotted already. Now, you've obviously participated in my lives very, very regularly since they started, and but people, this is the first time for a lot of folk that I guess that they'll be seeing your face here, right?
Yeah, probably. Like you said, I do have a YouTube channel that I don't really recommend watching.
I actually do recommend it.
But,
absolutely do.
Well,
and I mean, the thing is that everybody's got something to contribute. Everybody's got something to bring. And if your videos are still live, I remember watching them back in the day. I remember watching them at the time. And I think it was maybe end of last year you were doing those videos?
Yeah, sometime around that time. I did post one in, I think, January or February this year. And there's only like 3 of them. But I have also been on Keith's show, on Malted Man Cave, on his channel, in 3 different videos, I think. One of them, which we did a really weird satellite situation. And then 2 when we were both on vacation together in Hilton Head.
Yeah, all the videos are just terrible, terrible quality. The first one, apparently I didn't know what Google Hangouts was yet. We tried to film it with like my iMac and his like face showing up. And then we did it with like crickets in the background in Hilton Head when we were on vacation with our families.
Yeah, there wasn't much we could do about the quality in Hilton Head because we were out in the back porch and it was kind of, I think it was fairly late at night. It might have been a little dark.
Yep.
And apparently we woke up pretty much all the rest of the family because we were carrying on and drinking too much and smoking cigars. And
the kicker is the rest of our family is a bunch of teetotalers who don't believe in drinking alcohol. So there was lots of judgment going on.
But you didn't care as you sat out on the porch and drank into the small hours of the morning. I remember seeing those videos back in the day, but it wasn't just both of you. There was another guy there, right?
Yeah, so there was my brother and also another one of our cousins.
Superb.
Was there too.
So you're actually quite a whiskey fanatic family, because I know that Keith also has a fighter pilot cousin, brother or something, right? That's really into whiskey, no?
Yeah, he's the one that kind of, I tried whiskey and I was just okay for me, and then he kind of got me to give it a second chance, and then I got the bug after that.
Superb. But I think it's bizarre to have the two of you guys in the family doing your own kind of creative outlet things in different digital formats and different digital channels, obviously, but in the same family. And what was really, really cool, and the reason that the two of you are on the channel tonight, is that back in January, was on just as a kind of regular guest spot, and Keith was sharing how he got into whiskey, and we were having a bit of fun and things. And then when he had to, obviously, it's a requirement for a guest who appears on my show that they take the quiz, right? And as he was taking the quiz, we pitched Jonathan from the chat up against Keith. Now, he didn't appear in video, so, you know, he had a bit of a delay going on, of course, but he had the chat on his side, or at least that's the argument. I don't believe that for a second, Jonathan. I don't believe that you reached into the chat at all. You were not crowdsourcing answers. But what happened is that there was some kind of needle, and Keith was the only one that was able to express fully any kind of frustration, right? So we always, immediately afterwards, the suggestion, I think it was Jonathan's suggestion, immediately afterwards, is the next time we do it, we should both do it on video. And it's taken us, you know, 5 or 6 months to pull that together and actually do it. But I'm going to speak to you in a minute, Jonathan, because there's a couple of questions I have for you specifically. But let's be honest, that's the main reason that the three of us are here tonight, right?
Right.
Let's go!
This is like a bit of a trivia bout right now.
I was prepared to talk so much trash, but I just know that if I come on with all this hubris, as the fates will have it, I will know like none of the questions that you asked. So I'm coming in just planning on getting beat.
Well,
I've been kind of expecting some text messages from Keith all week, like trash talking and whatnot. And I guess he got his game face mode on early and has just gone silent.
Well,
I've been so busy this week. That's what's happening.
I'll be honest with you, even before you both confirmed, most of the quiz questions were in tonight. And the couple that I added were kind of added to be more kind of topical questions and things like that. And I would never ever, and I have never put a quiz together with a specific person in mind. So what you might find is that, especially when you two guys are out there in the States, there's going to be certain questions, I'm sure, that's probably not going to be fair for somebody that's out in the States. But the fact that both of you are out there makes it fair, okay? And I would say that the reason, and I think it's the right thing to do, to play it humble, Keith, because sometimes there are whiskey rev questions in there, and that guy doesn't pull any punches, right?
And Jonathan has been into whiskey for longer than I have, so I'm a little worried that his breadth of knowledge is a little bit wider than mine. Although I do know a lot, I just have a feeling. But I won last time. I don't care what anybody says. I won last time. We all know the truth. You know the truth.
Yeah, nobody knows that. But I think actually, Keith, on Roy's live stream on World Whiskey Day, I think you actually might have beat me on that one. I think I got 6 out of 10. Didn't you get 7?
Yeah.
So
that
there you go.
It shows how close it is, though, right?
Yeah.
Very close.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's really, maybe I've been drinking whiskey longer, but I don't know that there's any kind of a major gulf or, any kind of major discrepancy in our whiskey knowledge.
Yeah.
Whiskey Throttle loves picking me. Right now, Whiskey Throttle is saying Meade Mule, the reigning king of Aqvavitae trivia. No, Whiskey Throttle, Daniel. Not true.
Daniel likes just stirring it a bit. He likes stirring it. What Daniel should actually be doing is running a book. He should be taking bets right now on the quiz. He should be betting virtual drams to see which of the two of you are gonna reign supreme this evening.
Maybe Daniel should go up against the winner here.
I agree. Jonathan, should we do a bottle bet? Should we add a little up the ante whenever we do the quiz? Is that allowed?
Let's see. Here's an interesting one. Tony Evans has said, Aqvavitae, tell Jonathan that all the questions tonight are about Springbank.
Yes,
so
please.
maybe the bottle, if you are going to wager a bottle, maybe it should be something from Campbelltown.
Although Jonathan knows just as much about Springbank as I do.
I mean, I like Springbank a lot too, so we'll see.
Okay, Jonathan.
I do wish that in one of your quizzes a few weeks ago, I forget which one this was, Roy, but you had the question about Pritchard's distillery. What state is that in? I wish you had saved that for this one, because that's in my actually the question was what country it's in. Well, it's in Tennessee, which is where I'm at. So
that's right.
Wish you had saved that one for tonight, but
apparently it's the second biggest distillery in Tennessee. So I wonder what would the biggest distillery in Tennessee be then?
Well, it's not Dickel,
yeah.
Which I'm wearing a Dickel shirt right now, but yeah, it's Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
Although I am surprised that Pritchard's is actually bigger than Dickel.
Well, it might not be. It might not be. I'm going from memory. Maybe it's the third.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, I would say it's probably third. Although Dickel is actually much smaller than you would think. I've been to both Jack Daniels and Dickel, and Dickel is really small. They only have one still.
And Dickel is. Am I right in saying? And I can just about see your T-shirt there.
Yeah.
Dickel is. Yeah, as it's Dickel is one of the American whiskies that doesn't use the E in whiskey.
Right. Yeah, they spell it the European way.
Yeah, that's right. And I think
Maker's Mark is another one.
Irish use the E as well. But I think if your ancestry or if you're rooted somehow in Scotch whiskey, perhaps you're likely to ditch the E. And if you're more kind of connected or rooted in Irish whiskey, you're more likely to use the E. And a trivia question that came up in the past actually on my quiz was that what is the legal spelling in the US for whiskey?
It's EY. It's illegal.
No, the legal spelling in the US is without.
In the US?
Is without.
Are you sure about that?
Absolutely sure. And what they had to do, because there were.
Yeah, maybe in law it is. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, you're right.
And what they had to do is, if a distillery could show or demonstrate through tradition that they had a claim to use the E, they could. So they permitted it for tradition. And of course, the majority of distilleries use the E.
Yeah.
There you go, the legal definition.
The whole spelling thing, it's actually a lot more complicated than a lot of people think. A lot of people think that, EY is bourbon and Y is Scotch, or EY is Irish, Y is Canadian. But really, when you look at a lot of words, there's differences in spelling over time in different communities, because for a long time, the English language was, not everybody knew how to read and write. And so you'd have different spellings even within the same country. You can find examples like in Ireland of both spellings of whiskey on whiskey bottles. Right. Same with Scotch.
What we've got to remember is that it was back in a time where literacy was very, very low. Most of the population, the working class population, was illiterate, and they didn't really care how things were spelled more often than not. And if you look at the term, the Gaelic term for whiskey in Scotland, uisce or uisce, uisce, when you anglicize that to whiskey, you can see just how the phonetic sound of uisce became whiskey, and there was no acknowledgement to spelling whatsoever.
Yeah, and along those lines, and in the spirit of Fèis Ìle, I was doing some research, and I hope this isn't one of your trivia questions. But it's very funny how Fèis Ìle, and then if you the face or the fish or however you pronounce it, one way if you have the accent, it means like what, music and culture or whatever, arts and culture, and then the other one is like sexual intercourse if you don't have the accent.
Okay.
Have you ever read that before?
We should probably stop talking about that subject then.
So that's 1 for me, 0 for Jonathan if that was on the quiz.
And well, it depends. It depends on what the quiz question regarding that specific topic is.
Dang it, did I just screw myself out of a point?
It may just be in there. Let's see what you've researched. Okay,
well, I may have already known that answer too, Keith. So.
Oh, sure, you did.
Let's ask Jonathan, because I know Keith. In terms of, we've asked Keith, and he's answered a few times about how he got into whiskey, obviously through family, but more often than not because he quite liked the idea of it was Ron Burgundy, right, in Anchorman, when he was kind of his Scotch passion and enthusiasm, you kind of quite liked the idea of trying Scotch, and you got into it that way, right? Even though you first hated it. But Jonathan, I've no idea. How did you get into whiskey? How did you get? Because you're a bit of a geek as well, aren't you?
Yeah. And actually, before I was a whiskey geek, I was much more into beer, which I still am into craft beer. But craft beer was kind of the first thing I really geeked out over as far as any kind of drinks. But as far as how I got into whiskey, I mean, I still remember the first whiskey I ever had was Jack Daniel's, which when you're like 21 in the US, there's a good chance you're going to end up drinking Jack and Coke somewhere sooner or later.
Yeah.
And, I remember my first apartment in college, when I was of legal age to buy alcohol, I almost always kept a bottle of Jack Daniel's in the apartment, even though I drank beer more often, but I did like having Jack and Coke every once in a while. But, kind of over the next several years, I would occasionally have like shots of whiskey, like Jameson or something like that. But I didn't really appreciate whiskey. The first time I ever remember sipping on whiskey neat, and not just taking it as a shot or in a cocktail or anything, I was out at a bar with a girl, and she asked, "Hey, have you ever had Wild Turkey bourbon?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." And, I was trying to impress her. I was like, "Oh yeah, Wild Turkey, it's good." And so I ordered 2 Wild Turkeys, and I'd actually never had it, but it was given to us neat, and I sipped on it, and I was like, "Oh, this is actually pretty good." Still, so over the course of the next, I don't know, however many years, I would occasionally buy a bottle of either bourbon or some other type of whiskey and kind of sip at home. But when I really started getting more into whiskey, I was actually at one point in time really big into pipe smoking, tobacco pipes. And I would read a lot of online forums about pipe tobacco. And a lot of times people would talk about, what are you drinking with while you're smoking a pipe? And a very common answer was single malt Scotch. And so that kind of triggered my curiosity, like, okay, I want, if this is going to enhance my experience of pipe smoking, I'm going to try this. So I started, I bought a bottle of Glenlivet and Glenfiddich and a few others, and started with some of those cheaper, like 12-year-old classics, and kind of got into it from there. And, over a few years, I started really getting into a few of them. And there were a few blends that I liked too. There was actually a blend that I used to really like, and I haven't had this in years. And I was just thinking about this the other day, that I should go back and try it again. Grand Old Par 12-year. I don't know if that's one that's available in.
I've heard of it. Roy. I've never seen it for sale here, and I've certainly never tried it, but I've heard of it. Yes.
That was one of the first Scotches, and it was just a cheap blend, but that was one of the first ones I really enjoyed. I imagine if I went back to it now, I probably wouldn't like it as much, but I don't know. Anyhow, I kind of just really got into bourbon, like big time. Like when the whole bourbon boom started, I really got into bourbon, became really pretty knowledgeable about bourbon, trying everything I could. And while I was still enjoying single malts, and then a friend brought over a bottle of Ardbeg 10-year-old, and that I had tried Lefroy before and hated it. But for whatever reason, Ardbeg 10 just opened my eyes, and like I just changed my mind about Islay whiskey and peated whiskey, and eventually I perfect moment, too. Right? And it really was a lot like how I've heard you describe your experience with Lagavulin 16, how that one opened your eyes and was the gateway whiskey for you. Ardbeg 10 was that for me, and then I just wanted to learn all I possibly could about all these different single malts, because I realized how different they could be and how great they could be.
Well, that's the amazing thing. And it's amazing how many people you speak to that have that kind of epiphany, that gateway moment. Maybe they're drinking whiskey, maybe they're enjoying whiskey, but it's not until they connect with an Islay style of whiskey that the lights are suddenly switched on. And certainly that's true. That's exactly what happened with me with that Lagavulin 16. And I was always enjoying whiskey, but until that moment, I wasn't driven and any kind of passionate sense about it. But that, in fact, that was 2009, and that was what made me have my 40th birthday on Islay with a minibus full of friends in 2010. Was that moment, and ever since then, I've just had this connection and this love, and I'm continually trying to chase that same moment again, to have that same epiphany. And of course, there have been lots of them. I know it's very, very different in subtle, different ways. But that's kind of and I think it's part of the magic of that island. It's the whiskies that they put together. Something in those whiskies, of course, they're smoky, they're peaty, they're medicinal. They've got all of these challenging kind of burnt tire and rubber and earth and all these crazy notes in there. And yet all of these flavors come together with this background sweetness and this rich malty cerealness, and they are utterly compelling. But I want to mention something. On my channel, there's a playlist, and it's called Best YouTube Whiskey Ever or something. And 3 or 4 down in that playlist, there's a black and white YouTube video, and it's called Islay Whiskey Island or something like this. And it's about culture, and it's about the effect of whiskey on that island. I encourage people to take the time to watch that video and understand how Islay whiskey was once perceived. Because there's actually a few comments in that video, and you can understand that there was a time that Islay whiskey could not be sold. It couldn't be given away. It was really it was considered just far too strong to be enjoyed as a single malt or as a gentleman's drink. It was just too powerful. And look at it now. The distilleries are running at full tilt. They can't keep up with demand. And you know, everybody outside of Ireland, the mainland and everywhere else, are now making peaty whiskies because of the demand for that style. It's just crazy how much things have changed, right?
Well, and it's like what I've heard before regarding, like, I think Lagavulin during Prohibition in the U.S., where it supposedly was sold as medicinal whiskey, and you know, the legend has it, and I don't really know how true this is, but the legend is that whatever regulators in the U.S. tried a sample of Lafroig and said, "There's no way anyone would drink this for pleasure. This is definitely medicinal whiskey." Yeah.
I've just poured Port Charlotte to drink while we get the quiz underway. This is a travel retail. This is the 2007 CC01 Port Charlotte. I loved this when I tried a wee sample of it in the airport. Then I bought a bottle, and then the first couple out of the sealed bottle were not great, but now it's come alive and it's really quite enjoyable. I think this is cognac cask or something, actually. Keith, how are you? What are you? I can see that you've just poured something. What have you poured?
So I had a super small dram of the Kilchoman McKeer Bay. Then I had another small dram of the Lagavulin 8 200th anniversary edition. And now I'm going to probably go for my last dram of the evening, the Ardbeg Dark Cove committee release.
Wow.
Doing a review on soon.
Evening out in style.
Yep.
I've still only tried the Dark Cove. I didn't get to try the committee release.
Oh, man. Okay. This was gifted to me by George and Amy Kaplan. So generous.
Okay, what we'll do is I'll just explain how the quiz is going to work tonight. It's going to be a little bit different. So we still get 72 folk in. Let's see how many. Did we break 100 tonight? Yes, we did. We broke 102. That's just fantastic. I really expected it to be a bit quieter tonight. It's obviously you guys that are drawing the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Superb. So what we'll do is we'll explain that the quiz is open to everybody tonight. Because of this Top Chat replay that we have now, everybody can answer and keep your own scores. You will be playing against Keith and against Jonathan tonight. So answer. What we'll do is Jason is a fantastic host. What he does is he puts in question 1 and he puts some lines across, and then you'll listen for my cue to let the answers lead in. The reason that you have to hold and wait for my cue is that the delay is usually quite decent. It's about 8 or 10 or 15 seconds, but sometimes it's not that long. And what we don't want to do, we want to have this head-to-head between Jonathan and Keith intact. Now, probably they've already shut down their chat and they'll not be doing that, but at least it just means that we know for sure that the two of them are just concentrating on the questions and what I'm saying. And then I can cue you guys in so that you're playing against each other in the crowd. Keep your own scores and then share afterwards what your score is and see how you score against Keith in Ohio and Jonathan in Tennessee.
I thought I got the cheat this time around, so I'm keeping the chat open. I thought that was
You can if you want. I'll just be expecting super prompt and fast answers from you, Keith. And again, what these guys are going to do in order for those guys to be kept straight is that they're going to write down their answers. Can you just hold up what you have in front of you guys? Jonathan,
so I've got a dry erase board I'm going to use here.
oh, fancy.
And Keith, what do you have?
It's a good old computer paper and a Sharpie.
Superb. So what we'll see is they'll write down their answers, and then on my cue, after the crowd has had a chance to get their answers in, of course, they'll hold up their answers, and I'll take scores from Jonathan and Keith. Now, boys, I'm really excited. I'm expecting some kind of sibling-like rivalry to be happening here. I would consider it a waste of breath for me to ask for humility and victory and graciousness and defeat, right?
Screw that, Jeff.
I'm willing to be humble. I don't know about Keith. I won the first time, and I haven't been bragging about it. So
no, you did not. First of all, it was a tie, and he gave you the whiskey in the sixth question, so I won by 1 point.
And he also didn't give me the Glenmorangie question at the end, which I got right.
It was Glenmore. It was Signet.
Yeah, but I spaced it in the 2 comments.
So I guess, guys, you can see what we're in for tonight. The quiz hasn't even started, and we're very fortunate that the state of Kentucky separates these two guys, right?
I'm going to kill Daniel.
Let's get on with the quiz. It's just after 10 minutes to 11 o'clock at night here. We're fine for time. We're absolutely fine. There's no rush at all. But I've got some packing to do, and I really hate it if that comes across as smugness. I'm just very, very excited. Okay, we've got threats that the YouTube bots are actually our moderators have deleted your threat, Keith. So Jonathan doesn't get to see that you've just threatened them. But if you really want to threaten him, you can put it in this chat, on the private chat that we're having here. Okay,
no, I threatened Daniel from Whiskey Throttle. That's who I threatened.
Daniel, you're going to kill. Superb.
He's got about 5 different comments about how Jonathan is king and how he won. I
think Daniel
just his shtick is going against me right now. It's okay. I love you, Daniel.
Welsh Toro is saying boys. Okay, let's get this underway, okay? Let's go with question number 1. And we'll just get this thing going, will we? Marker pens at the ready, boys. Best of luck to both of you. Question 1. Who is the longest serving master blender in Scotch whisky? Now, specifically, this guy is very much still alive. He is in semi-retirement now, but he is recognised as being the longest serving master blender in Scotch whisky. Jason, I can see you've got the line in already. Crowd, go right ahead and give me your answers. Keep your marker, keep it down, please, Jonathan.
That's right. I forgot Keith can see me, can he? I hope he didn't see me.
I know who he is. I can't remember what
if I'm even right.
So the crowd is now answering. Everybody's piling in answers. Superb. So who is the longest serving master blender in Scotch whisky? Okay, guys, we're going to ask you both to hold up your answers.
I can't remember if this is his name. Guy from Ball.
The same answer, yep.
Hold it up and then speak.
I think David Stewart.
That's who I have as well.
From Mulvaney.
Yeah, I can see you both. Now, what people don't see at home is I can see the thumbnails as well. So I can see that both of them has answered David Stewart. Now, I have to say that's in the chat, that's quite a popular answer. Lots of people are suggesting things like Richard Patterson, Ian McMillan. Welsh Toro has said the Bulveni guy.
For some reason, I put David Stewart, and I was like, Stewart, I know is right. Like, I can't remember if David was his first name. I knew it was the Bulveni guy.
Well,
they may not be right.
The other close one, isn't the other close one Jim McEwen? He's pretty close too.
But yeah, isn't he retired now though?
He started. Isn't he working with that new distillery in Islay?
Yeah,
Ardnahoe,
Jim
I think?
McEwen is now on board with Ardnahoe, but I don't think Jim McEwen's got the same. Certainly, when it comes to whiskey making, I don't think he's got the same amount of years as David Stewart. But I'm not very sure. I'll tell you in a second. I think I've just given the answer away to everybody, but the longest serving master blender in Scotch whisky is David Stewart. Last year he got his MBE, or I think it was maybe 2016. But in 1962 he started working in whisky, and in 1974 he became the whisky maker master blender at Grant's. So quite an amazing career, right?
Touche, John.
So there you go, crowd. Lots of you got that right. Lots of you did say Dave Stewart. And give yourself a point if you did. As we move on to question 2, everybody. Glenmorangie's closest neighbour is... Silence. Silence. Fantastic. Crowd. Jason hopefully is going to put in the separator. Fantastic, Jason. You're always on the ball. Answer away. 3, 2, 1. Just tell us who is Glenmorangie's closest neighbour. Now there are no pictorial questions tonight, obviously, because I can't. People watching the video get to see the pictures up full size, but because we're on a private hangout call, you guys would only see the tiny little thumbnails, so that wouldn't be fair. I've not worked out how to do that well yet. William Brooks, my friend Bill, is saying, time to board my flight. See you soon, my friend. So excited. So you know that he's getting on that flight to come and whisk me off to Islay tomorrow. Superb. Look forward to it, Bill. Have a safe flight. Okay, let's see. Keith and Jonathan, could you hold up your answers for me, please, so I can see them?
I know this is close. There may be one a little bit closer than this.
Okay, good. I've seen both yours. Okay. Welsh Toro is saying Glen something. Oliver's saying
I was going to put that too, but
Jason is saying Bob Blair. Connor is saying Dornoch. Razvan is saying Glenkinchie.
The Dornoch Firth is close. I know that.
Yeah. This looks like it's a question that stumped quite a few people. Whiskey Bikers come in with a very good guess saying Taninic. Macallan Fine and Rare, the doc thinks Dalmore. So let's see. What I'm going to do is, Jonathan, I'm going to ask you to hold up your answer first.
I already erased it because I don't know. I put a question mark.
I saw the question mark. Good man. Keith?
I think I put Bob Blair, but I think it's either that or the T&H or whatever. I was reading something about it the other day, however you pronounce the T&H or whatever. Bob Blair is what I guess.
Good. Well, let's see. Glenmorangie's closest neighbour is... Oh, it was multiple choice.
Oh, hey, that's not fair.
Okay. That's a blunder by me. But that's okay, because it still works. It still works.
I got it. I think I did.
Oh, you think you got it? You sure?
No.
Well, let's see. Let's see. Balblia.
Yes.
I would have had that if I had been given choices.
Yes. Sure you would have.
Terrible.
Okay, I apologize for that. We had a multiple choice. So
Jonathan, you know I'm going to be
I don't really feel guilty for either of you guys, although obviously Jonathan kind of perhaps didn't get a chance to participate in a 33% chance of getting it right there, but the crowd kind of had the same thing. And I had this earlier on. It was in just as a straight question, and I thought, no, that's a bit too out there, and so I changed it to a multiple choice, and I forgot that I changed it. So I apologize for that. But regardless, what would you have done, Jonathan, out of the 3 choices? You'd have picked Balblair, wouldn't you?
You know, the crazy thing is, I was looking at the malt map of Scotland today, and I should have remembered this, because I even noticed Glenmorangie and thought about, oh, I forgot that's where they're located. And I seriously looked at the malt map today, and I still couldn't remember. So I've got only myself to blame. But I'd like to think that I would have picked B.
Glenmorangie is in Tain, and just I guess maybe just 5 minutes further west. I think the village is called Ederton. We have Balblair. Balblair's a fantastic tour. I recommend it to everyone. Okay, another kind of semi-geographical question coming up. ready for question 3. I'll wait for Jason's cue. Jason's cheering wahoo. And the Whiskey Rev is saying another controversial one. I think it's only controversial because of my handling of the question. I apologise for that.
I'm not sure.
My skills as quizmaster need to improve, definitely. And Malt Review saying Glenmorangie, poor tour. Jason didn't miss anything. I have to agree with Jason a wee bit. I mean, it's not that it's poor, it's just that there's some really, really quite cool and nice tours out there. Glenmorangie's very perfunctory is a word I would use to describe it. Question 3 is underway. Here it comes, boys. Are you ready?
Ready.
Which silent distillery located in Falkirk is due to be reopened in the next 1 to 2 years? So which silent distillery in Falkirk, much missed, should be reopening in the next year or two? It was announced last year. I've yet to see any activity. I've yet to hear about any activity down at the site itself. But I'm very curious to see what's happening there. Okay, boys, you've got your answers in. Can you hold up your answers to let me see them? Everybody's answering.
Sorry, my handwriting looks terrible now that I look at it.
I think we both got it right. I think.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So. Okay.
And in the spirit of cousin love, I must say that the only reason I've ever had the privilege of trying Rosebank is because of my amazing cousin Jonathan, who shared some Rosebank with me. Was that an exclusive malts one, Jonathan?
No, it was a old malt cask. Got it around here somewhere.
Fantastic. So I can tell you both, I can say that both of you have answered Rosebank, and so many of the crowd has as well. We've got Ben Marnock, multi-haggis muncher, fantastic multi-haggis muncher. I think I've seen your name about before. I think we've just interacted in comments recently on YouTube. Good to see you in. Jason Whiskey Wise is saying Rosebank. McAllen the Doc is saying Rosebank. Alan Wilson, fantastic Alan, to see you, is Rosebank. Everwind, Whiskey Biker, Jason Klesholt, Connor Strang. So many people say Rosebank, and let's see. It is indeed Rosebank. So yeah, that one we might consider a little easy. But nevertheless, you both got it right. So we both have, after 3 questions, we've got the scores at 3-2 to Keith. Okay, let's move on to question 4. It's Fèis Ìle week on Islay. Which distillery has the honour of opening the celebrations each year? Haha. It's Fèis Ìle week on Islay. Which distillery has the honour of opening the celebrations each year? Superb. So let's see what's coming in. Whiskey Biker is saying Lagavulin. Everyone is saying Bamore. Ben Marnock is saying Lagavulin. Could you hold up your answers for me, boys, to see that you've both got an answer in?
I think I'm wrong on this one.
Okay, good man. I've saw both your answers there. Connor is saying Lagavulin. Alan Wilson is saying Bamore. Chris Banks Wildlife is saying Lagavulin. Lots of Lagavulins. Bamore. So it's torn. People are torn between Lagavulin and Bamore on this one. So let's see. Remember, crowd, you're keeping your own scores tonight. The distillery that has the honour of opening Fèis Ìle each year is, in fact, Lagavulin.
Yay!
Nice job.
Keith answered Lafroig. Yep. And Jonathan answered Lagavulin. So what's happened there is that Jonathan has managed to pull back to draw at 3 each after 4 questions, shaping up to be very close again, exactly as we hoped. Superb. Just the same. Bummer Day was today. That's absolutely right. Tomorrow is Bunnahabhain and Saturdays are big. So question 5. I think this is a giveaway one for you boys, but we'll see. Question 5 Jason, are we good for question 5? Here we go. Publican, concerto, and chariot are what? Publican, concerto, and chariot are what? Keith's already got an answer in. He's looking confident. Looking confident. Okay, the answers are starting to come in from the crowd now. Superb. So when you're ready, boys, can you hold up your board so I can see your answers here? Superb, Keith. Thank you. Jonathan, I see scribbling away. Okay, good. I see that. Superb. So everybody, a whiskey biker is saying grain types. The Alchemist, Macallan Fine and Rare, and Ben Marnock are saying barley. Chris Banks is saying barley grain types of barley. Welsh is saying Mozart concertos. Connor is saying barley. Yeah, I think this is a wee bit of a giveaway. And if we go to Jonathan, hold up what you've written there, Jonathan.
Barley types, varieties.
And Keith?
Oh.
You've thrown that one away. You were just
barley.
Types of barley. Fantastic. Superb. It was, of course, strains of barley I was after. Good. 4 apiece as we move into question 6. Just give Jason a second to catch up with the crowd. Does anybody not get that? Anybody put in a... Welsh is saying I meant to say barley. Just having a laugh again. Okay, question 6. Cypher is an expression released by which distillery? Cypher is an expression released by which distillery? Okay. Okay, boys, hold up your boards, your papers, so that I can see it. Oh, okay, good. I think we showed it to this. We've got an answer from everybody's piling in. Everybody is saying the same thing. Ben Marnock's been honest and said he's got no idea. I hope you're all keeping your own score, by the way, out there. And Jonathan and Keith have both said the same thing. Hold up your boards, boys. Glenlivet and Glenlivet. Superb.
A chicken scratch.
And the answer is Cypher was indeed a bizarre release, it has to be said, from the Glenlivet. And the reason I say that is because they put these things out to try and make people kind of wonder and try and guess what the cask makeup is, like it's going to be something strange. But I believe, and I'm not 100% sure on this, it wasn't Cypher just bourbon casks and refill sherry or something. Anyway, regardless, it looks like almost everybody got that one right, as did you too. So that means that you're both on 5 apiece. How is it feeling?
It's a little tense.
I have to say, you're being way more modest than you were last time. I think Keith has been a wee bit more reserved and polite because he's got his cousin on the same call. And I think that because it's so close, nobody feels confident enough to start speaking, right?
Well, I mean, we're both doing pretty good here. So we've both only missed one, which is pretty good for your quiz. So I'm kind of like, okay, when are the questions that I have no clue on?
Exactly. I'm afraid to become too
well, either the questions are becoming easy, or you guys have been doing a lot of research and becoming more knowledgeable. You just never know. Okay, let's move into question 7. And I have to say that when I was looking at this quiz earlier, as I moved through the kind of middle section, the questions looked to me to be one of those kind of, not giveaway questions, but ones that if you knew it, you would just know it. It would be dead easy. But there are a couple of chewy ones still to come, I think. Let's wait and see. Malted Montreal, Swami has just dropped in to say hello, and he's bought me a virtual dram as well. Thank you very much, Swami. I'll take my last sip of this fantastic Lagavulin. Oh, actually, now I've moved on to Port Charlotte, actually. Cheers, Swami. Thank you very much for that, my friend. And as we move on to question 7, another topical question, if you're all ready. Macallan have just unveiled their €150 million distillery. Okay, it's maybe 120 million pounds, 150 million euros. Some people are saying way more than that, but regardless. Featuring how many stills? So this is a quick one. Write down how many stills are in the distillery, and we'll let the crowd start to answer. The Whiskey Rev has said no idea.
Jonathan, do you seriously know this?
I do, because I watched the video. I've watched several videos, and actually, I could tell. I'm pretty sure I could break it down to wash and spirit stills if you want to separate it. If it's a tiebreaker. But yeah, I've got the same thing.
You don't get to choose the tiebreaker because you happen to have the knowledge. Nice try, John.
Something strange is happening with the Hangouts call. I hope it's working okay on the live. I can't really tell, to be honest. That looks okay. But yeah, the Whiskey Rev has said that he doesn't know. The guy who gives to us. Superb. Very tongue-in-cheek. Everybody has answered this. Wow. Everybody has answered. Welsh is still poking fun. Everybody has said 36. I think it's big news, so it's maybe easy. I can see that both of you guys answered 36. So well done, both of you, because if we go back to the quiz, the answer I was looking for was yes, 36. And I believe it breaks down to, the Rev will keep me right, 12 wash stills and 24 spirit stills. Quite an amazing thing. They've basically got 3 kind of little, I was going to say mini distilleries, but they're not mini distilleries, they're massive. So 3 still houses, I guess they've got, with a circular configuration of the fermentation vessels on the outside. Quite amazing spectacle to see. Okay, so remember, you're keeping your own scores. I don't know if anybody's competing. I think these questions, I may have pitched them a wee bit early tonight, a wee bit easy tonight. Question 8, still topical, still about Macallan-ish. This is only easy if you know it. The Edrington Group own Macallan, Highland Park, Glenrothes, and which other distillery? So the Edrington Group have Macallan, they have Highland Park, they have Glenrothes, and another distillery. What is that distillery? Now, I can see some head scratching going on. I can see Jonathan happily writing away. Keith, I need an answer from you, my friend.
I know, like, isn't there 2 other ones?
Not for Edrington. Not that I'm aware of. You might be thinking of, well, I don't want to say it. Okay, hold up your answers, boys. What do you have?
Famous Grouse and Cuddy Shark.
Those aren't distilleries. They're brands.
What have you got? Some vodka
distillery. I don't know the name of it, but I'm pretty sure they do own vodka.
Let's see. The crowd, our knowledgeable crowd, Multi-Haggis Muncher, Connor Strang, Jason Whiskey Wise, Macallan Fine and Rare, Whiskey Biker, The Alchemist, Alan Wilson, Eric Waite. Eric Waite answered twice under 2 different accounts. What is going on with you, Eric? Chris Banks Wildlife, Ben Marnick, all got it right. The answer I was looking for is Glenturret.
Really?
Really?
Really, which is widely regarded to be the oldest distillery as well, Scotland's oldest distillery. So there we have it.
Is that pretty new? Did they recently purchase Glenturret?
No, I don't think so. I think it's been under ownership for quite a while. But obviously, Glenturret is in no way promoted anything like Highland Park or Macallan is.
Yeah.
I wonder if the Whiskey Rev has any opinions on that, or whether he even is involved in anything happening at Glenturret. But there you go. Edrington also own Glenturret.
I'm pretty sure they do own some kind of vodka distillery too. I don't remember the name of it.
Some kind of what distillery?
A vodka distillery.
I think it's our
oh, you're right. It is rum, isn't it?
I think
Yeah.
it starts with a B.
Brugal rum.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what I was thinking of.
The Rev has given me drams of Brugal rum a few times to catch me out, and he usually does. He catches me out. It's pretty nice rum. I'm not a rum fan. I don't know a lot about it, but it's quite enjoyable. Swami has put in I don't know why I'll show that comment. Swami is suggesting that he's only 52 subscribers away from 1,000, so he's in hoping that if anybody doesn't know who Malted in Montreal Swami is, that they all go over and check him out and give him a sub if they haven't already. Okay, let's move to question 9. Haha. Fèis Ìle is Scots Gaelic for what? Guess. Fèis Ìle is Scots Gaelic for what? Now, obviously, the context I'm speaking about is the context of the theme of this evening. But I want to know what the Gaelic meaning of Fèis Ìle actually is. That's what I'm asking. So everybody, as I pour an absolutely stupendous Bunnahabhain. This is the Moyne Oloroso here from Bunnahabhain. I've not got much of this left. Huh?
I've been trying to find that so bad, like everywhere, and I can't find it.
I should maybe leave a little for you then. But it's quite an intimidating dram. Sherry, peat, high ABV. How
peaty is it? Like, what do you think the ppms are if you had to ballpark it?
Oh, I wouldn't say it's ridiculous, but I'd say 25, 30 in the bottle. I don't know, of that order. Maybe not. The peat's kind of backed off a little bit, but it's been in an open bottle now I've had this for about 8 months, I would say. So there's lots and lots of things coming in, and lots of guesses and things. And this is. I've got Hoyt guessing Fair Island. I've got the Doc saying Island Festival. Welsh Toro saying good time, and he's absolutely right.
Are we showing yet?
Sorry?
Are we showing?
Yeah, show me. Sorry.
See, I know what Keith said earlier, but I don't think that it's literally correct. But maybe I'm wrong.
What have you got, Keith? Show me.
Oh.
Arts and culture.
And Jonathan, what do you have?
I thought it literally means festival on Islay or on island. An island.
Okay. Super.
It basically started in 1984 because they were worried that Gaelic was going to lose, it was going to become a lost language. So they started it, and it first started out like this arts and culture, dancing and music, and then I think Scotch became a part of it. Now, I may be wrong, but I just had a feeling that this was going to be one of the questions, so I'm not going to lie. I didn't research it. So if this is wrong, there's a lot of sources online that are wrong.
Connor Strang has nailed it, as you can expect from Connor Strang. Fèis Ìle is Scots Gaelic for ill. It's a multiple choice question. I can sense that a friend of mine from Ohio is about to be very, very upset.
Well, there's about 20 online sources that say arts and culture, and Wikipedia says that.
Okay.
So
all
it's going to be under dissent.
All I suggest to you is read the question. Fèis Ìle is Scots Gaelic for Islay Festival. A fèis is a gathering of people, and Scots Gaelic for a gathering. So you can say party, you could say festival, you could say a coming together of people, but a fèis is a gathering of people. So a party, a festival. And Ìle, Fèis Ìle, or Islay is Scots Gaelic for Islay. So literally, as Connor Strang said, he said, this is going well. What I should not have done is I should not have decided these questions are difficult. Let's make them multiple choice. At the last minute, as I was prepping tonight, I should have just stuck with the original plan. I have to learn my own lessons. Eric Waite is saying sick fish. So Connor Strang, I couldn't see if anybody else actually got that right. Let's see.
Is my answer, I just have the words reversed.
No, it's the right answer. It's the right answer, Jonathan.
No way.
Yeah, it is the right answer.
When it started, what it says on 20. No way. No way.
I read the Wikipedia article too, and nowhere in that article does it say that it literally means.
Multi-Haggis Muncher is saying Island Festival. No, it's Islay Festival. It's festival on Islay. The Islay Festival. Absolutely. So that means, Keith, I'm just going to have a peek at the last question here to see if what's happening here. Oh no, I think because it's you guys, the last question is a giveaway. I think, Keith.
So he did not write Islay Festival. So why are we accepting this?
I wrote the same words in the different order. It means the same thing.
I'm questioning if you type in right now. Let's see. Let's go on the. If you type in the Gaelic meaning of Fèis Ìle, fish eel. Are we sure?
Go ahead. Type in Fèis Ìle.
I did it before we did this. This is the answer I got. Stinking American Google.
Well,
I will be humble in defeat.
I'll apologize for that being another multiple choice that I blundered, but it's fun, isn't it? And the last question I have to say is a giveaway question. For a lot of people, it wouldn't be. It might be quite tricky, but for these two guys, it's going to be quite an easy one, I think.
You say that, I'm probably going to get it wrong.
Let the crowd, while we're waiting on this, what is the crowd sitting at? What kind of scores are you guys on tonight? Where are you sitting? Is there anyone that's doing particularly well? Siri says it means sick fish. Welsh Toro is saying it's piss up. Danny is, it translates to Jason Whiskey Wise. Everyone is saying no. The Alchemist is on 7. Good score. Macallan Fine and Rare is on 7. Good score. So Keith, you're on 7. And Jonathan is on 8.
That's debatable.
Yeah. The Gaelic translation for Fèis Ìle is Islay Festival.
Wonder why that has it on the Wikipedia. Arts and culture. Not that Wikipedia is always the best source of information.
That's right. Wikipedia, utterly reliable. Okay, boys, I'm just going to throw you the last question just so we can kill this. And then I'll try and find some way to change the subject before Keith falls out with me forever.
What's sad is that I actually did my homework and looked up 20 different websites, and that was what I came up with. Dang it.
Dang it.
You win, Jonathan. You win.
Well, there's still one more question. I might not know it.
Okay, boys, here it is. Balcones Distillery is located in which U.S. state?
Okay,
Balcones
I know it.
is located in which U.S. state? Okay, we can see both of your answers from you guys. Let's let the crowd just roll in the answers. Dwayne, Eric, Jason, Ben Mark, Connor Strang, Dan E, Oliver, Hoyt Hemphill, Alan Wilson, The Alchemist, Metalman71. Hey, Metalman, good to see you in again. Sean McDonald, good to see you in. Everwind, Multi-Haggis Muncher, Chris Banks Wildlife, Macallan Fine and Rare, Whiskey Biker. As I sip this awesome Bunnahabhain Moyn Oloroso, it's really got even better, I would say, with a lot of air in that bottle. Everybody is answering Texas. Our two boys,
really
Jonathan and Keith, has also answered Texas because Balcones is, of course, in Texas. Now, that means, unfortunately for my friend Keith, and I hope we remain friends, that this time, on this evening, Jonathan has come through and managed to snag an impressive, it has to be said, 9 out of 10.
It might have been 10 out of 10 if I'd been given that multiple choice.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Technically, if we're going to get technical, you did not put Island Festival.
I put both those words on the paper. I just had them in reverse order.
Because that always makes it accurate.
I have to say, I mean,
buddy.
Scores from both of you are exceptional. I would love to know from the crowd, is there anybody that's been able to match or beat Jonathan's score tonight? I think there was quite a few 7s came in. I don't think anybody had 9 out of 10. Doesn't look like there's going to be a 10 out of 10. Chris Banks Wildlife is saying Whoopee, 7 out of 10. He's chuffed. Jason is saying he's happy with 7 out of 10. So I mean that's pretty impressive, guys. I mean, it looks like Jason Whiskey Wise is saying he did. So perhaps Jason managed to sneak a 10 out of 10. I wouldn't be surprised.
Did Connor? He seems like Connor always does get a 10 out of 10.
Connor, yeah, I haven't actually caught a recent comment from Connor. Is he here still? I'm sure he's still here. But AJ is saying 3 out of 10 for this Whiskey Noob. Hey, AJ, is still good. That means that 3 of the questions that were given to you tonight, and none of them were multiple choice, even though they should have been, were genuinely answered questions. So well done, AJ, for participating. Welsh is saying he got 11 out of 10. Well done, my Spinal Tap Welsh. McAllen Fine and Rare, 8. He screwed up Bal Blair, and he was there. Connor Strang got 9 out of 10, and he's saying he would have got 10 out of 10 if you had the Bal Blair multiple choice, as Dormock is almost exactly the same distance away. Wow. Okay. There's a few people have rightly got some an axe to grind with me about the multiple choice thing tonight. Listen, you have to understand, especially on a Thursday night now, my life is in turmoil. My wife goes to tennis. You know, I put 3 kids to bed. I get everything organized. I put this together, and then I kind of check things. And what I did at the last minute tonight is I decided to switch 2 of the questions up that I felt would have worked better as multiple choice. What I'll do for the next quiz, however, is when I don't have guests on like this, I'm kind of going to once a month have a multiple choice thing like I did in World Whiskey Day. So the whole crowd participates. Everybody's getting involved in the quiz. You keep your own scores, and it's multiple choice for everyone, and that opens it up to so many people. And then the alternate week, probably the last week when I tend to have a guest, the end of the month, I will switch back to the trusted formula that we've been using. Apologise for the multiple choice mistakes tonight. They were very much mine. But congratulations to Keith for his very, very good score of 8 out of 10, which in any normal night would be a fantastic score. But uber congratulations to cousin Jonathan for snagging a 9 out of 10 and the laurels on the night.
Good job, buddy. You beat me fair and square.
Thanks. I'm surprised I got that many right myself, to be honest. I thought like 7 would be enough for a tie at least.
I'm gonna be calling Google later tonight to complain.
I think maybe reading comprehension classes in the state of Ohio are probably more to blame.
Wow. Wow. Humble and victor, I see.
I wasn't blaming you. I was blaming your state's failures.
Yes, superb, really good. Jez Batty is suggesting, Aqvavitae, you need to go back to doing pub quizzes for practice. Yeah, you're not wrong, Jez. You're not wrong. I do need to. All I need to do is just remind myself of what I've actually prepared in advance. That's all I need to do, and just check it. The other thing is as well is that I've got the Whiskey Rev in here to chat. I've got Keith, and I've got Jonathan. I've also got the quiz stream and myself all in the same chat that I'm switching backwards and forwards. So yeah, I'm trying to make excuses now. Yeah. Regardless, who did the best in the crowd? I think we had a few. I didn't see anyone with. I think Jason Whiskey Wise, who you would expect always does really well in these quizzes. I didn't see anybody so challenging Jason and Connor then. Connor managed a 9 out of 10. So well done, everybody. Well done for keeping your own scores as well. I hope that was fun. I hope that you're getting some congratulations in, Jonathan. Well done. Laura McGirt is saying congratulations. The doc is saying thank you so much, Roy. Congrats, superb show once more. Well, I hope it has been. And it feels like it's been I don't know. I feel like maybe that my mind has already been on where I'm going tomorrow, right? And I'm excited about that. But I wanted to kind of have the live stream tonight. I'll apologize to all my patrons. Usually I have a patron only show before the live, and I wasn't able to do that tonight just because of the run around and everything that I had. But 2 weeks from now, back to the regular thing, I will have the patron only show again, and I apologize to you, and thanks to everyone for your understanding and patience as we communicated through the Patreon platform earlier. I would like to remind everybody before we finish up as well that the Scotch for Dummies have a live stream tonight with the Jura brand ambassador. I would like to go over to my my friend Jonathan and congratulate him once more and say, Jonathan, thank you so much for taking the time, especially given the time zones. You're 6 hours behind me, so getting away from work early and joining me tonight, it's very much appreciated. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me on, Roy. It's been fun, and yeah, it was nice to take off of work early and do this. Definitely.
Okay, I'd be curious. I'd love to be a fly on the wall when this kind of camera goes offline and you do a lap of the studio area.
Good job, buddy. You did awesome. Roy, thanks for having us on. This was fun.
No, I'm just
I hope you know we are competitive, but it's all in, it's all in fun.
That's right. It's absolutely.
Hey, so Keith, what bottle did we bet on?
We never agreed on that, my friend.
Sure.
We have about 83 viewers that realize that we never actually agreed on that. So sorry.
I've just poured a little bit of this Port Ellen here, just to raise a glass to everybody that joined tonight, just to say thank you very much. Commiserations to Keith. I still think you did a great job, my friend. Raise a glass to everybody that's over there on Islay enjoying the festival, and raise a glass to everybody that's everywhere else enjoying themselves and couldn't make it to the festival. Let's face it, if we all could, Islay just would shut down. It's saturated already. Multi Haggis Muncher has just bought me a virtual dram. Thank you very much, my friend. He said, have a virtual dram on me, Roy. I'm out for now. Would love to buy a real dram if ever down south, Scotland, and shoot the breeze. Slancheva. Slancheva to you, Multi Haggis Muncher. Thank you very much for the virtual dram. Thank you to everyone. The Alchemist is saying a wee question before you go. I know you're a massive fan of Deanston. Have you tried the Spanish Oak Red Label? Is it a thing of beauty? The Spanish Oak one I have tried, Alchemist, is a 15-year-old. I tried the 15-year-old Spanish Oak, and it was pretty fantastic, but I only had a dram of it. I don't own it. So thank you very, very much. And he's saying, is the 14-year-old on sale now comparable? I don't know. It was a 15-year-old I tried. But to be honest with you, I think right now, the way that Deanston is at the minute, you're on safe ground. I came home with their Sauterne sample recently, and I sipped that at home, took my time over it. It was wonderful. It made me regret the fact that I hadn't gone to Deanston or I hadn't taken the opportunity to buy that and bring it home. It was wonderful. Malted Man Cave Keith is just given me a double dram, and he said thanks for having us on again. Keith, you're very, very welcome, and thanks for the generosity, as has Richie. Thank you very much, Richie. This is all going into the Islay coffers. I will use all of these dollars, all of these Canadian dollars, all of these pounds to buy something nice when I'm on Islay at the weekend, and I'll share with you what I've got up to as well. Hoyt, you're very, very welcome. Daniel, you're also very, very welcome. Thank you, boys. Thanks very much to the Whiskey Rev for joining in tonight and helping me with moderation. He's just sent me across a comment actually to say, Chris Beaton, how does everyone label their samples that they ship? Always put on the ABV, always put on the name, always put on the expression, of course, the age, the basic requirements. But I would say an extra tip for labeling samples, and this is super important, write who it's from and who it's to. This is a sample gift from Aqvavitae to Chris Beaton. It's just a fantastic way to remember, should that sample sit on the shelf for a while. And that way, when you open it and drink it, you get to remember who it was from and perhaps send them a wee thank you message as well. Thank you all very much. Laura is saying Slancheva, always enjoy watching. Thank you very much, Laura. You're very welcome. I love having you in. Have a wonderful time this weekend. I will, and I'll share it all with you. And everyone is saying, so can I get a Maltman Buna 10 sherry bottled in 2013, worth it at $93? Oh, not sure, everyone. I've never tried it. Whiskey Biker is saying, many thanks. Have a superb trip. I will be in Speyside. Wow, you'll be in Speyside at the weekend. Superb. Thanks.
Roy, can I ask you one last question before we sign off?
Absolutely. Go right ahead.
what bottling have you looked up to see what kind of bottlings are going to be at the Fèis Ìle that you are really want to get your hands on?
Not at all. I haven't spent any time doing that at all. And the main reason is that, I mean, there are some bottlings that are very large scale, like Lefroy puts out a Cartius every year that's usually considerably higher bottle count than most releases. Bemore put out 2 releases. One was super exclusive and one was much more available. So there's some bottles going to perhaps be available there, but all the real Fèis Ìle bottlings have gone. People camp out and queue up overnight. I recently read or watched or heard a story about people turning up at Bemore at 3 a.m. in the morning in the middle of the night with a sleeping bag and tea and coffee and things. And there was already a big campsite queued outside Bemore for the Fèis Ìle release. So that's just what's happening. I'm going there just to enjoy the atmosphere, to enjoy the folk, to enjoy what's happening there. We've booked a few tours, a few distractions. There's some structure to the weekend. I'm looking to hook up with new friends and old friends and just relax and enjoy it. I'm not interested in queuing. I'm not interested in profiting. I'm just interested in enjoying the spectacle that it is. So that's a long-winded answer to your question, buddy, right?
Have fun, man. I'm jealous. Enjoy it.
Thank you very much. As I raise this glass of 1970s per Ellen, I'll say thank you to both of you for joining me again tonight, and I look forward to hanging out with you the next time. Till next time, everyone, Sláinte mhath.
Sláinte.
Sláinte mhath.